Hello, my name is Dr. James R. Golding, and you're watching A Natural Healthcare Alternative, the show dedicated to your health, longevity, and well-being. Don't switch your channel tonight, because I think that you're going to find it a very interesting program, so stick with us for the next half an hour. Tonight's program is entitled After 45, and I waited till after I was 45 to do this program so that I could inform anyone 45 years or older of special health considerations that they need to do and special tests that they need to consider as we grow older. Obviously, we're all going to have health infirmities, maladies, problems, diseases, disorders. Some of us earlier on in life, some of us later in life. What happens, though, after 45 years old, the likelihood of us getting problems gets greater and greater as we grow older and older. Also, the effect of our lifestyle and what impact it has on our longevity and well-being comes to light more and more and more. So we're going to take us through a structured outline of things that I believe would be helpful things for you to do and potential tests for you to consider to make yourself as healthy as you could possibly be. It's often been said that I would have treated myself a lot better had I known I was going to live so long. Or I'll talk to people, older people will come into the office for treatment, and they'll say, Dr. Golding, I can't believe that the golden years are so difficult. And I said, well, you got it wrong. It wasn't the golden years, it's the Dr. Golding years. So what I want to impress on you today is things that you need to do to empower yourself, to make yourself healthy and get longevity. Now, obviously, there's two components to our health. One is your genetic health and well-being. Obviously, the genes that have been given to you by your parents, you're not in, as we grow older, you're not in control of that. However, we do have certain predispositions or weaknesses inherently that we've gotten from our parents and through our genetic lineage that if we are aware of it, we can make necessary lifestyle changes to make ourselves less disposed to get those infirmities or weaknesses. It's been said that you're only as strong as your weakest link, so we need to self-evaluate what that weakest link is and what we can do to prevent it. I'll frequently talk to people about nutrition, their nutritional well-being, their status as far as their nutrition is concerned, and still, some people don't get it. I'll talk to, especially guys, I'll talk to guys, they'll understand, they'll be driving a brand new Porsche, and they'll understand that they have to put high-test gasoline into the Porsche to make it run right. But when I talk to them about bringing good nutrition into their body, they don't get it. Good nutrition versus bad nutrition. They're looking at it as it's all the same, and obviously it's not. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to work from the top of our body down, and we're going to do a little bit of a health assessment and also incorporate things that you can do. As I've talked about in the past, there's a lot of we're a chronic overthinking society. If you read nowadays, the amount of Alzheimer's disease is extrapolatingly increasing as people grow older. One thing we're not sure is whether Alzheimer's has been around for a very long period of time and we're just being able to recognize it more. Or whether it's something that us as a society are being more susceptible to, so that we need to take safeguards to prevent ourselves from mental decline. So what we know is that Alzheimer's disease is a disease of affecting our memory, all of the things that we recall. And they find out in autopsies, when they take that person's brain and they slice it into pieces to see like what went wrong and what's going on with them, is that they find out that there is a lot of garbage in there. Okay, it's almost like a campsite that's never been cleaned in the cells. They call lipofuscin granules. And what happens is that this garbage influences the way that we think and breaks down the normal neural processes. So what we need to do is to cleanse our body and cleanse our mind. And one of the number one things you have to do on a regular basis is some form of aerobic exercise. All of the tissue of your body needs to be oxygenated to its greatest capability. So we need to do some form of aerobic exercise to push the sludge, push bad byproducts out of your system so that your body can metabolize properly. Now, something that I found that's a good supplement to take is something called phosphatidylcholine complex. What this is it's a refined lecithin compound. And that refined lecithin compound is a building block for the actual synapse, that is the actual connection between nerves that happens on a chemical level. That is what memory is all about. By taking phosphatidylcholine complex, I believe is a preventative cure for some of the aspects associated with going into mental decline, senile dementia, and Alzheimer's disease. Also, a byproduct of taking this nutrient, which you can get at any health food store, there's no side effect to it. You're not going to affect your medication or anything like that, and you'll have increased clarity of thought. So phosphatidylcholine complex, and I want you to take that to heart. So as we work down a little bit, we're going to do a little assessment of where you're at in your life right now, whether you're happy, and where you want to take your life. If you're at 45 or older and you're at that range where you're in between 45 and 55, if you still don't like what you're doing for a living, you still have time to change that around, because regretfully it seems that we'll be working a little longer than we originally anticipated. So you might as well like the nature of your work. The other thing is that you need to fully develop things that you know truly make you happy. Find out what those things are that make you happy. So many times I find people, they have no hobbies, they have no special interests, they have no passion. Unless you have a passion for some kind of activity, whether it be a hobby, whether it be reading, whether it be one of the million things that life has to offer, if there's no passion, there's no fire. And if there's no fire, there's no spark of life to keep you going as long as your genetic constitution dictates you to continue to go. So now, as we move down, you're doing your assessment of your life, you're allowing for proper mental exercise, you're having a healthy outlook on life, you're going to read things to keep yourself in the intellectual mix, you're going to spend time communicating with people, because really what it's about is the experience that happens between people. We come into this life alone and we're going to leave this life alone, but really the good exchange that happens between us. And I found out in my life some of the people or some of the things that I've been with for the shortest period of time have often been a catalyst to make major change in my life. And I want you to change if you need to change. So we're moving down from the mental aspect now, and we're going to enter the mouth right now. And the reason why I want to talk about your mouth is that with the teeth products that they have nowadays, people don't get cavities the way that they used to. But the amount of people that get periodontal disease now is greater now than it ever was. You have to make sure that you're not only brushing your teeth, but you need to brush your gums, and you need to use dental floss. Because if you don't brush your gums and use dental floss on a regular basis, you're going to be paying for it big time, because your teeth are going to go, because the foundation is going to go away. And they find out a big correlation between the health of your gums and the overall health of your body. A nutrient that I want you to bring into your diet is something called coenzyme Q10. It's available at health food stores. You could get it at Costco, any of the drugstores now. That naturally occurring body enzyme helps to fight periodontal diseases and disorders. And that's something I seriously want you to consider. The other thing, as we move down, is that people get a lot of disorders associated with their heart. A heart is a weak area. People have family predispositions with their heart. If you have heart diseases or disorders in your family, whether or not you're experiencing any active symptoms, I want you to consider getting a cardiac workup done. And that cardiac workup should include a stress test, which a stress test is they put you on a treadmill and they work your heart out and they see how your heart is functioning under a load of stress. Very, very good thing to find out, because if you know you have a problem there way ahead of time, it really helps you to fight it. And you can actually reverse heart disease if you know it ahead of time and you have enough time. Something that I had during the past year, and I want you to seriously consider doing, is I want you to get an EBT test done. That's an electron beam tomography. It can be done right up in Morristown. They have a center there where what they do is they put an electron beam into your heart, and they actually check out the condition of your heart arteries without invasive treatment like you would get through putting a camera into your heart. That gives a very good indicator of the condition of your heart arteries, even though you may be asymptomatic. That is a wonderful, wonderful test to consider. Runs about $500. Your health care insurance is not going to cover it, regretfully, but I think it's worth every dime you could possibly spend if it's something that yields information pertinent to how long you're going to live. As far as your lungs are concerned, obviously you're going to stop smoking. You're going to try to cut down the environment or external environment around you that has a lot of pollutants in it. When you're working outside with pesticides, whether you're in a polluted environment, you're going to try to control that as much as possible. I want you to consider getting a HEPA filter put in your house. Honeywell sells them. They sell them right at Home Depot. And you're going to put that in your bedroom. And what that's going to do is it's going to take a lot of the particulate matter out of the air so that in your bedroom it's a sanctuary of pure air for you to breathe. The other is to get a ion generator. I want you to get a big ion generator for your house. They make one called a flare. It's very cost efficient, can do the whole size of your house, runs just a few $100s, and it's a very serious piece of machinery. So I want you to consider that. So many people have gastric and upper GI disorders now. If you see, practically every other commercial on TV is for Pepsid or some type of antacid or some type of smooth muscle tissue problem or relaxant going on in here. This disturbs me that we need to take so much of this stuff. Something to consider looking into, there's a product called Bo-He Wan. It has been in continuous use in Chinese herbal medicine for 600 years. It's a naturally derived herbal compound that is a digestive aid and also helps to swell digestive symptoms. And I really want you to consider trying that to see whether that is helpful for you. Another thing to consider is the fact that you need to have your blood work done. I do my blood work, I do routine blood work on myself twice a year. But I recommend for people to have it done once a year. And unless you have a problem and it necessitates it more. But we're talking about you don't have any symptoms, you're going to have routine blood work done up once a year. Because I liken it like a TV guide. Why wait until you know you have symptoms and then follow up on these things? The sooner you know something's going on with your body, the easier it is to take those corrective steps. Once we've gone bad, once we've gone south, once you get diseases and disorders, it's all alarming the type of treatment that you have to do to yourself to make yourself better. So what we want to do is kind of like the tide. Once we know where the direction in which it's going, we can very easily shift the tide for a better direction for health and well-being. I spoke to you in previous episodes before about getting a hair analysis done. And I want you to all go out and have a hair analysis performed. Take a sample of the hair from the nape of the neck. It measures all of the nutrient minerals in your diet over the course of the length of the hair, which in average can be anywhere from a month to a 6 to 8 month period of time. The other thing that it does is it measures a lifelong accumulation of toxic minerals that may have gotten into your system. So it's very, very important to get rid of the toxic minerals, because if you get rid of the poisons, it's part of living a long life to constantly detoxify. The liver, being the largest organ of the body, is like a big, large oil filter. It functions better when it's not congested with poisons, toxins, things of that sort. If you're overweight, you really, really have to lose the weight. If you lose the weight, you cut down on so many diseases and disorders that it's mind-boggling. I really feel that our amount of diabetes mellitus that we get, adult onset diabetes, could be halved if people kept their body thin, lean, and as mean as they can possibly be. Different people are going to have different abilities to lose and gain weight easier than others. And the reason for that is that when we're born with different amounts of adipocytes. Adipocytes are primordial fat cells. Some of us have more of them than others. And if you do, then it's going to be easier to gain weight and harder to lose it if you have those more adipocytes. So it's not the same for everyone, but it makes the importance of losing the weight the same for each individual. Now, as you know, each pound of fat is 4,200 calories. Now, for each pound of fat that you have extra that you need to lose, or that's there, your body has to pump blood 1 extra mile. So I worked with somebody the other day. We were talking because I got them to lose over a long period of time. They lost 100 pounds to it by clinical hypnosis. It took 6 sessions to do it. But they lost 100 pounds, and I was telling them, well, you just stopped pumping blood from here to Atlantic City, because that's the amount of stress that's come off of your heart because you lost all of that weight. Plus, naturally, you're more energetic. And also, that just the strain on the heart and all of the internal organs. So you got to lose the weight. And, fast food, the abundance of cruddy food out there is so easy. You can't be lazy about your food anymore. A lot of people talk to me, oh, I don't like the organic food, is so expensive. Believe me, in my heart of hearts, I want you to have that the purest, cleanest, most natural food source that you could possibly get. And I don't really care what it costs, because what it costs is not as important as your health and your duration of health and just your quality of life. I want everybody to live a long, long life. But it's not just the length of your life, it's whether you're able to function and do all of the things that you want to do throughout the duration of that life. We know that when I talked about in previous episodes, we spent a whole session on the large intestine and colon. Now that you're over 45, you have to go and have a colonoscopy performed. Nobody wants to have a colonoscopy performed. Who would want to go there? But the thing is, anything that's abnormal that can be seen there can be very easily treated. So if you have a family history, you got to get it done immediately. If it's a situation, you have to get it done immediately. If you're 45, you're going to get it done. If everything's clear, you can get it done in 5 years from then. Another consideration for men is prostate health. As we get older, the prostate has a tendency of getting fibrous tissue built up in it. It's no longer supple and elastic. And they found that by taking saw palmetto, it is an herb, they get it down in Florida. You take the herb, that helps to keep your prostate healthy. It helps to keep it functioning. And, it really, really works well. Another thing, especially with women as we grow older, is the normalization of their calcium intake. As estrogen drops and they go into menopause, it's a situation where their bones are getting more brittle, their bones are getting more softer. You need to continue to exercise. You could do non-traumatic sports such as swimming. The other thing that we need to concentrate on is stretching. See, people don't usually wear out. People rust themselves to death. So a body in motion is a body in motion. And we have many more problems when we don't keep moving. So what happens is that we need to do not only aerobic exercise, we need to do resistance exercise, and you need to do specialized stretch exercising to keep your range of motion in all of the joints healthy, intact, and in a state of well-being. Contrary to what the government used to tell you, that you don't need to take multiple vitamins. You have to take a multiple vitamin. The foods that we eat nowadays, even if it's good and healthy, don't contain all the nutrients that they should for your well-being. So you have to take a regular multiple vitamin. The other thing is that you have to take some form of free radical eliminating nutrient. Now, free radicals, and getting back to the thing with the Alzheimer's, is that we gradually have these poisons due to our environmental factors, everything that we're exposed to, normal metabolic processes, some of them are naturally occurring. If you get the junk out and you keep your system as pure as you can possibly make it, just like having the oil filter changed when you have the oil changed in your car, it allows for the smooth flow of energy, what the Chinese refer to as the smooth flow of qi in the body. And you're going to keep your health and welfare going. You're going to increase your water intake. You should have 5-6 glasses of water per day, making sure that that water is spring water or good reverse osmosis water like we talked about in our last episodes. The other thing is that there's too many people out there, leading lives of desperation. You're not doing the things that you want to do. You're not enjoying yourself in the manners that you want to. You really need to spend time of what makes you happy. And also, in your relationships, your marital relationship, if you're not happy, there's some tension going on there, talk about it. Talk about it with your kids. Develop a good, natural communication and an open communication that will allow there to be not internalized tension within your body, or just the fact that you're just not well about what's going on with the world. If something's bothering you, talk about it. And that's part of what it's all about. The other is developing your sense of spiritual well-being, whether it's going to church or whether it's any form of religious belief, as well as coming in contact with what your greater purpose is in this world and on the planet, so that we have a greater sense of understanding. You have yourself rooted in the core of what your purpose is, as opposed to just constantly running around superfluously looking for things to make you happy externally, for that not to occur. All right? So the hair analysis is also something that women should get done, because it's going to give them an indication of this whole problem with the calcium and magnesium balance in the body. I'm not a real big one for taking estrogen supplementation, and we've spoke about it in previous episodes before, but I'm not really big on that, and I find out that it's really an overprescribed thing. When you lose the weight, a lot of times the cholesterol goes down. Most people that I come in contact, when I talk to them about cholesterol, regulating their cholesterol, bringing it down, a lot of them don't realize that cholesterol only naturally occurs, as far as in your food goes, from meat products, okay, or animal-based products. It's not something that you get in your diet from anything other than animal-based products. Also, so cutting down on that is just going to naturally decrease your cholesterol level as far as the source goes. Some people have something called essential hypercholesterolemia, meaning cholesterol is good. It's good for building hormones. Your body needs it, so it manufactures it in your liver. What happens, though, is that some people have way too much of it being manufactured, and then the lipids go up in the blood, starts to clog the arteries up, and then result in increase high blood pressure, increase of stroke, and stuff like that. So by losing the weight, changing the diet, cutting the meat products out, having oatmeal for breakfast. If you have a big bowl of oatmeal for breakfast, it's a known agent to help to lower the cholesterol. My concern also is people being on medications. Medicine is good, and any medicine that a person has to take for a short period of time, I really don't have any problem with. My concern is Younger people, especially like with that have a history of high blood pressure in their 30s, once you start on high blood pressure medication for a long period of time, your body pretty much is going to be destined for you to be on high blood pressure medication. Any medication that you're taking for a long period of time, now that whole list of side effects starts to come into effect with the medication. So we need to consider that before you start to take any of these things long term. You have to say, what is it that I can do? What is it that I can change in my life that is going to make it so that I don't have to continue to take these medications? Because the longer you take them, the increased likelihood that you're going to be taking them for the rest of your life, and then we're going to get the potential side effects from that happening. So I want you to be aware of the whole thing with the medication. The other aspect is that I want you to, twice a week, you're going to take some probiotics. That's a bacteria that normally houses your digestive system. It's in your digestive system. You can get it at a health food store, and that's going to help to keep your intestinal flora, intestinal bacteria in check, the way that it should be. We don't have an aspirin shortage in this country, and neither the thing with Tylenol or Motrin or Advil. My concern isn't people taking this for a very short or very short window of time, but what I see is a tremendous amount of people taking these non-steroidal anti-inflammatories on a regular basis, and you don't realize that stuff is chewing up your system. It's also making your system very, very acidic. And that the acids within the system bring on a whole myriad or host of other health conditions. So I want you to cut down on the aspirin. You're going to cut down on the caffeine in your diet. You're going to cut down on the sugars. Americans at last count are taking in over 300 pounds of sugar per year, per individual. I just imagine that, of raw sugar. By cutting that out and going to a more natural, healthy diet, it allows for your system to take in the good quality food that you need, digest it slowly over a long period of time so that your body is now in control, can regulate, is at a state of homeostasis and well-being and balance, and just an overall sense of control. That, coupled with these additional lifestyle changes and recognizing the fact that, we're dealt up this genetic set of cards. We know from our history where the family weaknesses are. Don't just accept it as a given. Fight against that, strengthen where those weaknesses are, and lead a long, healthy, productive life. I'm Dr. James R. Golding. For Natural Healthcare Alternatives, we'll see you next time.